like most people in business, most business leaders, business owners, wherever your role is, I'm pretty sure that you want to get to the decision makers faster. I'm also pretty sure you want to be talking in a strategic way to the people who hold that power in the ultimate decision-making conversation in a more expedited way. Well, our guest today, Katie Maras, is an expert in understanding the female customer. That's right, the customer that very shortly is going to have 75% of not influential, but decision-making control in our products, our services, and our experiences. So if you're interested in that and how, of course, technology manages to intersect, this is an episode you won't want to miss. It's another day and another episode of Humanize Automation. I'm your host, Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, and Katie Maras is with us today. And I'm super excited for this conversation on so many different levels. But one of the reasons why is when it comes to, you all probably heard me talk about this if you've listened to any episodes. Like I used to study neuroscience, decision making, what words can get things to change the mind. And she takes this a step further and like really dives into not only the psyche, but the decision making authority and power and how to reach the female buyer. So Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that I'm going to be talking to another woman that speaks the same speak as me. So this is awesome.
It's nice. We'll try not to go too far down the jargony, geeky rabbit hole without like demystifying it for everybody. But one of the things I like to start the show at is just kind of like, I think knowing the lens that people approach any problem, situation, or conversation with is important. So you can give us a Cliff Notes version of kind of the lens that you bring to this like decision-making and female consumer conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, first of all, women are the world's most influential consumer. We hold the purse string to the world's economy. By 2028, women will control. Okay, so I want to hear that word, not influence, control 75% of the world's discretionary income. So
That's
where
massive.
Everybody decides to spend their money is going to be pretty much controlled by women. So it's really important if you have a consumer, which we all have customers or we have no businesses, just know she is the one that is making the decision. So this point of view is extremely important and is only going to become more and more important as the years go on. Through the lens of the female consumer, though, I mean, I got into studying the female consumer because I had a series of really awful car buying experiences. And, I am a customer experience expert. I have worked with some of the world's largest organizations, designed some of the experiences for the world's largest organizations like Celebrity Cruises. I've worked in retail, in hospitality, in medical, you name it. Even in that lens, women are the chief medical officer. Women are the chief purchasing officer. They are the chef and the tutor and the caregiver. They are everything. But it was so aloof in the car buying experience. I couldn't believe the way I was treated. I couldn't give my money away. They would ask me, is your father coming? Do you have enough money? Is your husband here? And I'm like, are you for real? Like, is this even still a thing? Yep. And it is, which sent me down the research rabbit hole of, what exactly makes women tick? What do they want to experience? And why are they so important and impactful? And which, created the book my best-selling book, CustomHer Experience. So now I work with male-dominated industries and organizations to help them understand the lens of the female consumer. And we talk about, the psychological differences, the physiological differences, and we design experiences that, capture her. Because when you design an experience for him, you lose her. But if you design an experience for her, you keep the male consumer as well, because men will get to the place they want to be from point A to point B, regardless of what's around them. They're going to just cut through it because they don't care that much. But a woman cares. She cares about everything. And so if you don't cast your experience net wide enough from her, you are going to lose her. So I don't know if that answers your question there, but
it does. Yeah. And it makes me think of, oh, I forget the name of the movie. Maybe you'll know it, but Scarlett Johansson is in it and she walks into a room of executives with this advertising campaign and they're trying to advertise for cars. And this is in like the 60s, 70s, where of course women in business were not, I mean, we couldn't even own businesses legally then. So let's talk about that. But walks in, you know, very pregnant, walks in there and, you know, they're trying to do these, you know, sexy bikini clad, scantily clad car advertisements. And she's like, I'm going to tell you why it doesn't work. And they're, of course, honey and sweeting her. But then she lays into, you want to know what you really need? You need to get your buyer's wife to get to want him to have that car, and walks through all of that. And it's, this has been a field that's been around for a while, but it's, I think, I don't want to say only just now, because it's been, you know, over the past decade, you've seen a lot of evolution in female focused experiences, but the statistic on the buying power and not influence and control, you're going to see major shifts coming up.
100%. And it's, you know, it's, you talk about humanizing technology and AI, and even now, like Alexa, is a woman. Any of the, you know, maps on GPS or anything like that, the voices are women. You know, we have incredible impact in so many areas. Oh, my Alexa just went off. Alexa off. But she does influence that purchase even when she's not in the room. And if you go back to even the days where women didn't even work, right? So earlier than the 70s, earlier than the 60s, 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, women were the neck while men were the head. So even though they appeared to make the decision, the women were the ones turning the direction of where they were going. And they'd walk out in their backyard and you just picture, you know, these white picket fences that we see in movies and these housewives that go in the backyard and they have their iced tea and they're talking across the fence to one another about what makeup product they bought or what car they're using or what vacuum they bought or what, you know, pots and pans or, you know, what cleaning products. And that conversation then sparks what that next house is buying and so on and so forth. So even when we were not front and center with the influence, you know, decision-making ability, we always were there. We always were making those decisions. Now it's just, you know, we have the World Wide Web and a megaphone to, you know, scream it from the rooftops.
You know, it's really interesting too. And I love that you mentioned Alexa. You look at Siri, you look at all the default voices on AI are all female voices, right? And there have been studies about that too, like on gender bias and all these types of things. But you even go to when you're looking at now, like in this realm of generative artificial intelligence and even agentic AI and everything that's happening in that space, you're looking at programs that were still largely designed by males. So what I would love to dive into, if you're cool with it, is really what you're seeing in analyzing the female consumer vis-a-vis artificial intelligence tools that are out there that we are either using or businesses are using to try to target these customers.
Oh my gosh. It's just, so the first thing I have to say is you're right. It's all being designed by men. So while it has a woman's voice, there's no empathy. There's no compassion. It's very transactional. It's book your appointment. Be here at this time. Here's your reminders. And I'm actually working with an organization right now by the name of Pam. And it is an automotive AI assistant, like scheduling assistant in the automotive space. And I did a demo call with them and it was impressive. I have to say the pace of which she responded to the guest, the way she booked the appointment, it was impressive. But what I found, and again, being designed by men, there was no compassion. There was no empathy. So this gentleman had his air conditioning broke out in his car. So it was working on the driver's side, but not on the passenger side. And I'm listening to this call. And after it was done, she booked the appointment, got it done. I'm like, a woman would have said, I am so sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
That is really tough. You know, we are here to help you. Let's get you in as quickly as possible. A woman would show empathy and compassion, and a woman on the other end would want to receive that empathy and compassion. And I think that's what's missing is in, technology is the human side of things, and I think there's this beautiful cross section, I talk about it as like an infinity loop where human interaction meets artificial intelligence and where they actually intersect. That's like magic, right? When you can have the human connection married to this incredible technology that makes our lives easier. But a lot of people, and especially men who design these programs, miss the boat on the human side.
Yeah.
And for women, the female consumer, so her limbic brain is almost double the size of a man's. And her limbic brain, for anyone listening, whether you know or don't know, is the emotional and memory hub of your brain. And so a woman feels deeper. She, she remembers things longer. And gentlemen listening to this, if you have a wife, a girlfriend, a daughter, a female that's a friend that has remembered a fight in like grave detail from 5 years ago.
Yep.
It's not your fault, but it is your problem, because that's the way she's wired. And so the limbic system being so big and so prominent and so important in impacting how she feels in an experience or an interaction, when you are designing technology to help serve the female consumer or any consumer at that, you really do have to remember there's a human on the other end and we need to humanize it. And the female, it's especially important for the female consumer because of that limbic system.
And what's really interesting about all of this, right? Because, we'll go down this rabbit hole a little bit. When you look at the different parts of the brain and you look at neuroscience and you look at what fires, when people are having a problem, and this is male and female, right? You want to make sure the problem is understood and recognized. I don't care who you are. And you've seen over the past year especially has been really great in the evolution of most of the popular generative AI, ChatGPT, Copilot, et cetera, where it will respond to you with, here is what I did it based on. Like, yes, I'm confirming that I got your prompt. And then at the end, it asks a follow-up question. That type of iteration and that type of proactive communication back doesn't get all the way there yet, starts to make it from transactional to interactive. And that key difference, right? When we can take something from a transaction to an interaction, we change so much of what goes on in the brain. And it also increases someone's buy-in to that product, that service, that process. So we have to change.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I love that you say that because that's what I say on stage all the time. You got to go from transaction to interaction. You got to go from customer service to customer experience.
Yes.
You've got to impact how that person feels in a positive way, because you're right. That's when the brain starts firing a little different and starts to impact their decisions and how they make the decisions in choosing the brand that they choose and so on and so forth. So we're totally on the same wavelength. I use that all the time. Transaction to interaction.
And it's, for me, when I tell people, I talk, when I'm speaking more on the, okay, let's look at this automation. Let's look at what being human in a technical world actually means. And my lens is really from the communication and the psychological and the neuroscientific standpoint, and looking at how we apply technology to those types of conversations, situations, communicative touch points. I get so many people all the time, and even comments on reels and everything like that, episodes is, well, what tool do you recommend for? I said, that's the wrong question. It's 100% the wrong question. I said, number one, first, you tell me what human experience you are trying to create or elicit. Once you do that, then two, you tell me how that ties to your business goal or objective or a KPI or something measurable. Then and only then will I entertain this tool conversation, because it's moot if you can't give me those other 2 points.
1,000%. They're starting with the end. And you can't get to the end if you don't know why and how you're doing what you're doing. The what doesn't exist.
Right. It's like, what's the best screwdriver? Well, I don't know. What does your bolt look like?
Exactly.
What does the screw look like? Does it have crosshairs? Like, no, there's not just one screwdriver that can solve everything, right? So depending on your project, it's going to be different.
Well, and then how big is the space you need? Or do you need something smaller, something larger? Do you need,
how long is it for eyeglasses or is it for an electric socket? But you have all of these things that come into it. And I find that, in business, and this is even in business schools, right? And I even teach in one. So it's like, what's the problem? How do we measure it? But no, we have to rewind. Why does that problem exist in the first place? What is the fundamental human need or concern? Because when you study like behavioral change, when you study decision making, when you study long-term impacts of things, we know with scientific certainty that when you have both the rational and emotional brain, to put it in very lay terms, combined in making a decision, that decision sticks longer,
100%.
Assuming it's not based on coercion or fear.
Yeah. Oh gosh, 100%. You can't, change isn't possible without both. I'll often say with my fiance, when we're having an argument, or even with my kids, I'll say, listen, my limbic system is taken over right now. I'm like, I am highly emotional. My prefrontal cortex, it is shut down.
Not operational.
If you want to have a conversation with me and actually get somewhere, come back in 20 minutes when I can fire on both ends. Because right now, all you're going to get is emotional vomit. You're not going to get anything logical out of me. But it's true. Yep. You need to have both firing in order to actually create sustainable change and to really see what solutions are in front of you.
You do. And I love that kind of part of your origin story goes towards this buying a car conversation, because I think any female who has ever gone to a car lot alone has their version of a story.
100%.
I mean, myself included, even when I knew more about cars than the person who was assigned to me at the lot. Right.
Mm-hmm. But that's, and I'm going to just stick there for a second, because here's the thing. We actually do know more. We on average women spend 15 to 17 hours researching what vehicle we're purchasing. So we do know more than the person on that lot.
And it's amazing. It's like, no, I want X. And they're like, oh, well, this is similar. I'm like, no, it's not similar. No. I want X. You will give me X. And then, of course, you're labeled as, being aggressive or assertive or, some other words that I won't say right now. But it's so funny, because what I think people don't realize, and I think, one of many reasons your business is so important, is that so many people don't understand that in these more transactional conversations where you think you're trying to persuade or you think you're trying to lead, whatever it is, I do the talk with decision making. I say picture, and this is not anatomically correct by any stretch of the imagination, but to break it down, I said picture your brain thought waves on a pendulum, right? Once that pendulum swings back to the limbic system, the amygdala, the fight, flight, freeze, fear, your prefrontal cortex is way over here. It's going to take a whole lot to get that ball to swing back that way. And what you're trying to do is swing for the fences and get it here right away. And that's not how decision making works. Like, you got to level set and earn back what you just took away before that even happens again. And you telling me that, oh, X is the same as Y, when I know for a fact it's not, bam, I am on the defensive, and I'm not coming back unless you prove yourself otherwise.
Oh, 1,000%. I use a lot, and I'm sure I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming you know the emotional scale very well. And, it's exactly what you talk about, the pendulum swing. That isn't. So we don't need Newton to tell us that once you do one big pendulum swing, it's just going to keep doing this, and you're not going to get to where you need to be. Nope. If you're watching this and you don't see me, or you'll see me moving my arms. If you're listening, I'm just mimicking a pendulum swinging. But the emotional scale is where we want to get up to neutral. And through that emotional scale, you've got to go from frustration or anger to frustration to confrontation to, and I'm paraphrasing the scale right now, but it's baby steps. And you're right. You need to get back to neutral before you can start to feel better and become more logical about the decisions you're about to make.
And we just don't. When we see something as all or nothing, and one of the things that I share is, you're thinking AI is going to be this end all be all. You think this one change is going to be everything. And I said, it's not binary. It's not a 0 or 1. It's not black and white. It is, can it get me closer to my solution? Can it shave 10% off my time off task? Can it enable other efficiencies? Can it free up more of my time to do the human things, the emotional things, the empathetic things, the context-based things that machines aren't able to do? And I would love to know, like, when you're working with your clients on all of this, I mean, there's no possible way for any consultant in your area, my area, most business related areas to go into any conversation without AI coming up. What are some of the things that you're hearing, that you're seeing people ask about or tinker with, and they're just not getting the results they want?
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is, a few years ago, businesses were thinking that AI was just like this end all be all solution. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to do everything for me. Unfortunately, it's become more of a pain and a sore point in business because AI is still, while it's improving every day, this technology is improving every day. It's still clunky, right? It's still, you still have to learn it. It doesn't just plug and play. It still has to learn from a human, right? You have to be able to teach it. It has to sound right. And to your point, and I love that you said this, Jill, is it's meant to do some of the mundane tasks so that you can focus on being human. And so when I am working with my clients, that's exactly how I describe it, is we need to look at AI as the word I'm looking for, but it's not a substitution. It is like a complement to what we're doing every single day. And so if you can use AI in a way that frees you up to have those conversations, to build a book of business, to be present with your family members or your employees or your customers, then you're doing AI right. But if you're looking at to be your Band-Aid solution, you're going to hit your head against the wall, because the reality is, it's changing constantly, right? So we will never arrive with technology. We're always going to be changing, and it's always going to change based off of the humans that are programming it. Like it's always going to change. So you're never going to have a one and done be all solution. You always have to pay attention to it. It also breaks. So how often are you auditing this solution that you've put into place to ensure that it's providing the experience you think it's providing to your employees, your consumers, your family members, whoever you're interacting with? I joke all the time, but it's not a joke. The last time I checked, your customers are not bots yet. They're humans still. So bots can't, provide that experience that a human wants, but bots can help you provide a great experience. They just won't ever replace you. I do believe that the smartest folks out there are going to learn how to use technology to their advantage, but they will know that it won't replace them.
Right. I 100% agree. And it's looking at the areas in your process that are repeatable, predictable. Yeah, those can be replaced. It's the same thing that happened in the industrial age, where we started finding machines and mechanical processes. We could start replacing certain things that were done by hand. And again, not saying it's necessarily better. It is different, right? There's still a market for handcrafted artisanal things, right? Not everyone wants machines, but there is another market for that. And it's the same type of thing as humans. There is a market for people who don't want to interact with other humans up to a certain point. And there's a great to that. But once you tip that point, right? Like it's a tipping point. All right, Malcolm Gladwell, not in the same context that you're talking about here, but there is a tipping point. And once you hit that, the level of frustration someone experiences and the damage to your brand and to your company that someone experiences once they go over that tipping point and don't have a human solution is critical.
Oh, and I'll give you 100%, but I'll even give you so I use AI all the time. I use it as it's shaved off so many hours of work for me. My team, my assistants, they use it. But today I want to throw my computer against the wall. I have trained my bot so well, that it can't do anything else. So I have to go in and I have to create, new accounts and train new, but it defaults back all the time to what I've trained it to do. So in saying that tipping point of frustration is that it's still to a point where you can only use technology. And at that point, you have to have that human come into play. So with your customers, with your day-to-day business, I just think we expect too much from technology.
Well, I think we not only expect too much, but if we zoom out, right? Who built the technology? Humans, right? Humans. This didn't manifest out of thin air, right? We don't have these little technical beings that are out there creating themselves. But yet, when we first started using generative AI, and some people still today, the prompt that they put into it is awful. And I said, listen, you're expecting this machine that was built by humans with a simple request, write a blog post about Egypt, whatever, to get inside your brain, decide how you want it phrased and output it. I said, you would not bring a person into your job, even if they are a content writer specialist on Egypt. You would not do that and say, write a 500-word blog post about Egypt, because they would be like, well, what angle do you want the post to take? What's its audience? They would have a lot of questions. Yet we give the machine these prompts and expect them to produce magic. And I'm like, sorry, the whole like brain computer connection hasn't quite happened yet, guys.
And that's the thing. It never will. I mean, okay, I guess I never say never. I should never say never. However, there will always be a human. As I said, we're not bots yet, right? We're not run by, I mean, maybe one day that'll happen. I don't know. But we still need that human connection to the technology to make it really work. And so working with my clients, I'm just going to go back full circle. Yeah. That's what I say to them. Like, it's not a Band-Aid solution. And, you know, good data in is a good response out, and bad data in is going to create something that's not great. And it's all up to what you, as the human, put in and leverage, and how you leverage that technology.
It 100% comes back to the person. And we all, in an era of kind of like scapegoating and passing off blame and everything, like people are blaming the technology. I'm like, but who was using the technology? Like, sorry guys, you know, this argument's not going to work, right? It's like, oh, you know, if it's not an autonomously driven car, let me put that caveat out there. But like, you're driving a car, that car runs into a parked car, and you're blaming the vehicle. Yeah. When you were driving it. Like, no, that's not how this works. No. So we have to, you know, again, to me, it's like, go back to the point at which you have a human experience or emotion that you want to tap into for something. And people are like, well, not my business doesn't have all those in every touch point. I said, if there's a reason to communicate, there's an emotion associated with it, period, end of story.
Yep. Amen. And then you take that full circle to the female consumer. If you really want to tap into the world's most influential consumer, you have to tap into that feeling she wants to receive when she's doing business with you. And, you know, the reality is, retail therapy is a thing. She doesn't go to the mall to purchase something. Women go to the mall to feel good. They go for the dopamine, the serotonin, and the oxytocin. And those are all emotions. Those are all hormones. And so if you need to deliver on that, that's where you can start creating experiences.
Yeah. And experiences, to me, when I think about so many of the companies that I work at, it's, let's analyze your CX. And I do it from a slightly different way. I do it from like, where are the gaps in your CX and the touch points that we can change what your baseline is, right? Let's do this from a data, a very data forward perspective here. But, the power in words, there's one simple word change in an email that can change the entire trajectory of your customer's experience. And now it's with AI and looking at automation, it's picking and choosing strategically at what points in your CX lifecycle are you utilizing these tools and are you not? And I think, again, back to, your point on the female consumer, whether it's, the dopamine rush, you want some serotonin, whatever drug you want right now, let's see how we can give it to you. I say that flippantly, guys. I say that flippantly. But when you're looking at something like that, it's really, again, you cannot have one message that is all hormones to all people.
Nope.
You need to decide what you are targeting, why you are targeting it, how that's tied to the business goal in that particular stage, and then decide, you know what? A machine can do this. We're going to keep a human in the loop, but a machine can do this. And if they enter more than 3 prompts, it automatically boots to a human or, something along those lines. You still have those safeguards in place, but you have to design those smart human first technology solutions. Otherwise you're going to lose everything.
1,000%, like without a doubt. And, I love that you say that. It's the guardrails. So
Mhm.
you can't expect technology to be your end all be all solution. You have to put those guardrails in, and you have to make a human available. And if you don't do that, like you said, you're going to lose everything because they're going to get frustrated. There is so much competition out there, with these lovely smartphones. They are 5 clicks away from finding 20 other, retailers or businesses that do what you do. And so if you're going to frustrate them by not providing an experience that they are looking for, whether it's through technology or through your humans, they're just going to go next.
Yep.
Thank you, next. And so it's no longer, the price, the quality, the make. It's no longer where it's coming from and shipped from. It's all about the ease of doing business and how that business makes that customer feel.
And that even goes down to, so when you think of things that are more price-based or more, quality buy doesn't matter as much. Now, some people are going to get all up in arms. You're buying some paper plates. Yes, of course, there's a certain thickness of paper plate that is more beneficial than a thin paper plate, right?
Yes.
But okay, so you're in the category of thicker paper plates. There's 7 different brands.
Yep.
If you're ordering in bulk or you're the manufacturer of those paper plates, your customer, when you get into the B2B space, is the wholesaler. Mm-hmm. Your customer is all of this too. And we think so much about features, right? Here's the features and bulleted lists of things, and we can feed those into machines. But at the end of the day, it's, you know what? When I look at the paper plates, I look at, well, what's the occasion? Does one look more like the occasion than the other? Does one make me smile more than the other? Mm-hmm. And if one makes me smile more than the other, but it's a little bit more, whatever, do not care. It's the experience that paper plate will bring me. And it's something that simple can drive a decision. You really have to think bigger when you're looking at how you are serving your customers on the back end in terms of getting things into stores displayed for those things. Again, why we go to the mall, the chemicals, the hormones we get, displays impact decisions.
Well, and that's why, in-person retailing will never go away.
No.
It will never, it will never go away. Yes, we start our shopping online, but we always want to touch, not always. I mean, there's some people that are okay with it. I'm totally generalizing, but majority want to touch and feel. Yeah. You want to go in and feel those hits of dopamine, try it on, talk to the, sales associate, have them compliment you, and then go from shop to shop to shop, or, touch and feel those plates. And does the display match, how that plate is supposed to make you feel? And it's this, again, back to the infinity loop. I just see when we can marry together human and technology and create that beautiful intersection, that's when you have magic.
Right.
Unfortunately, most of us, that pendulum, like you talk about, is on one side or the other.
It is.
It rarely comes to the middle.
And, and we won't go too much on a tangent on this because we're running out of time, but it's and then let's take it to especially the retail experience, the luxury buyer. Mm-hmm. I may play around on Louis Vuitton's website to see what colors of monograms are going to look a little better. But I tell you, when I'm going to buy that bag, I am going in person. I'm having 100%. The hands-on experience.
I want the glass of champagne. I want to sit there. I want to be waited on. I'm going to spend a few $1,000s on a handbag. I want that experience in person.
Right. It's the same reason people travel. It's the same reason people go to movies in a theater instead of watching them at home, because we can all do that now. Yep. It's the reason people do so many of the things that we do outside of the home or outside of ourselves or with other people, is because we want an experience that can be shared, because that sharing is what makes us human.
Well, and then that's the oxytocin, right? That's that release of that lovely drug of bonding. Mm-hmm. And that's what we, especially in a social world, which is not social, by the way. It's not social at all. But when you're stuck in a technologically, elevated world, going out and feeling that bond with somebody else in a community, at a store, in a dealership, at a doctor's appointment, wherever you're going, you're speaking to another human. That is so important now. We crave human connection more now than ever, because we are we're not receiving it or going after it quite as often.
It reminds me, a total non sequitur about the technical conversation of it. But I remember when I was living in New York City, I had a therapist there, because all cool people in New York City have therapists. And in my opinion, all cool people, period, have therapists.
I agree.
So yeah, everyone listening, I have one on retainer, and that's what we do every quarter. We check in. So if something does happen, we're ready to take it on. But this woman, God, I loved her. And then I moved away, and she doesn't do virtual appointments. So alas, anyway, love this woman to death. She pointed out something within our first appointment that I never would have understood. And me, like, I'm a little techie nerd, and I am an introvert, even though people are like, there's no way. I'm like, oh no, 100% have been since 18. My Myers-Briggs has not changed since I was 18. Like, I am INTJ all the way. Get me in there. She's like, I need your assignment, your homework. You don't need to think about anything. I just need you to go pay for touch. And I was like, what? She's like, no, once a week, you need to pay for touch. Touch that has no strings attached, touch that has nothing to do with your emotional state or anything else. Go get a 30-minute reflexology massage. Go get your nails done. Go do whatever. But you need to pay for touch because you are not having that in your life enough. And that's the problem when we get into these. This could be a whole other episode, guys.
Gosh, yes.
We get into these. People are having relationships with AI. And of course, these are sensationalized media headlines. It's because we're in a void where you're so deprived from human touch and connectivity that you found a substitute for it. It's kind of like vegan leather, guys. It's not really leather, but it's a substitute for it, right? And so we are letting these things substitute to give us a little hit of a chemical that is not the same as if you go out in the wild and get it yourself.
It's so funny you say that, because my fiance, when I get asked, how did you meet your fiance? His name is Kevin, so I'll just call him Kevin. How did you meet Kevin? I'm like, I met him in the wild. That's exactly what I say. I met him at a bar, the way you're supposed to meet him. I saw him across the way. I was bold enough to get his phone number. But I met him in the wild, not on an app, not, on a screen, but in the wild.
Man, you know what? That gives me hope. I may see someone this Thursday for the second time out in the wild, and I think I'm going to get up the guts to ask for a number. Yes. Let's see how it goes. But in the wild, that's great. All right. Well, this conversation ended up in a completely different note than I thought. But I think, again, it goes back to, like, what will people remember? Probably this part of the conversation, because it was the most human.
Yes, it's the most human. Yes.
So everyone, let that be a note to you. Like, the most human things, despite using, in this case, technology to communicate those things to you, it tapped into something in you, to an experience that you had or that you could relate with. And so, like, my kind of wrap up note on this conversation, and Katie, I'll let you have a chance to have yours, is like, when you're looking at all of these things, think of the things that make you feel. Mm-hmm. Think of the things that, when you're analyzing different options, steer you one way or the other. Think of, I just got new throw pillows for this new sectional I got. And I'm like, the tactile experience of touching the different textures of throw. Like, what are those experiences that urged you to make a decision? And then look at it in your business. Can you point to an experience or an emotion that is eliciting any type of feeling for you, for your employees, for your customer? And if not, like, don't slap technology on it as a bandage, as you said, Katie, and think it's going to solve it. Let's solve the human problem first, and then increase our efficiencies with technology. So, Katie, what's your thought?
Yeah, I totally around the same wavelength as you. I would say, if we took it back to the customer journey and the different touch points that a customer does business with you, which is, the moments through time, and there's a ton of them depending on what your business is. I would say that look for the emotion that you're trying to evoke in each one of those touch points. And when you identify that, you want your customer to feel excited, then we need to work backwards and create an experience for that customer to feel excited. If you want the customer to be focused because they're making a big decision, but you still want them to feel calm about making that decision and feel good about making that decision, then what are you doing? What is your language you are using? What technology pieces are you using? What are your non-negotiable standards that are going to help you achieve that emotion with your guest? And so I would go through every single one of those touch points. And I would wrap it up by saying the in-between visit interaction, just when a guest leaves your business doesn't mean that it's over. that's actually where the relationship should begin. And so we miss the boat on that. That's where it starts to feel super transactional, because we forget that human is there and could be a lifelong human. Loyalty, refer, will spend more with you if you show them you care. And so that in-between visit interaction, or that in-between communication, I would challenge you to think, how am I making my guest feel special, valued, seen, heard? And if you can solve for that, if you can deliver on that, then you're going to have a customer for life.
I love it. Katie, thank you so much for joining us here on Humanized Automation. I love the energy, the conversation, the shared wavelengths. We could probably make this a 2-hour episode easy, but don't worry, guys. We're not. We're wrapping it up. But everyone, make sure, check out the show notes. I'll make sure all of Katie's links and everything is in there. The links to her book, The CustomHer, which is such a good title, and all the other things. She has a TED Talk. She speaks. She consults. She does all the cool stuff, right? So go check her out. And of course, all the things that a podcast host likes to tell you to do: like, subscribe, comment, share, share the goodness around. If you like this episode, let us know. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. I'm Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, and I will see you soon on another episode of Humanized Automation.